Well, this is Steve Sanson with Veterans in Politics. The two guests we're going to have today, first guest is going to be Bertrell Washington, who's the Clark County Fire Chief. And then we're going to have Randy Kerner, who's a Nevada Assemblyman for District 26. But before we get to our guest, I just wanted to let everybody know that today, ironically speaking, today is the gun show over at the Sports Center on Sunset and Las Vegas Boulevard, and Veterans in Politics have a booth set up over there, and we want everybody to come out there. And it's so difficult talking about the gun show when we just had a tragedy in Connecticut, in Newton, Connecticut. Apparently, there was a 20-year-old gunman that took his mother's weapon and shot her, and then drove to the nearby elementary school and killed 6 adults. And all the adults that he killed were all women. He also shot and killed 20 children, 8 boys and 12 girls under the ages of 7 years old. It's a shame when people go out and do stuff like that. Oh my goodness. Anyways, I just want to let's take a 30-second moment of silence for those people that lost their lives in Connecticut. Well, with that said, they talk about this. It's guns that actually kill people, but basically, the old cliche, it's not guns that kill people, it's actually people that kill people. But they're talking about all these gun laws that we need, but this individual broke several different gun laws. One, you have to be at the age of 21 to own or possess a handgun, and he was 20. 2, the weapons he had was registered to his mother. It wasn't his. 3, you cannot bring any weapons on school property or anything like that, which he did. And there's a stiffer penalty for shooting kids. So, I mean, this guy broke so many different laws that are already on the books. I don't know what to say. Whether we need more laws to restrict anyone from carrying a weapon. But you know what? I mean, would it be different if a teacher would had a permission to carry a concealed weapon? Would that teacher save any lives? We never know, because we never had an opportunity to allow teachers or principals or anybody to carry weapons on school property except for the police. So I don't know if the situation would have been a lot different if we did allow a teacher to carry a weapon on school property that was trained to use the weapon, of course. Maybe that teacher could have saved some lives, but we will never know. And here in Las Vegas, we also had another shooting at the Excalibur. Apparently, a man walked in there at the hotel registration area and pumped 5 rounds into a young lady that was working there. She later died at UMC, and then he apparently killed himself at the Excalibur. So I don't know. I know this. Being in the military, I know the weapon is your friend, and you use it to destroy the enemy. But in the civilian life we live in, I think mental illness has a lot to deal with what goes on with people using weapons. Maybe they need to do a psychiatric background check. I don't know if they've done that, but maybe that might be something they could add as far as anybody owning a weapon. But needless to say, I don't know. But I also wanted to do a moment of silence as well. A buddy of mine, George Shahadi, he lost his uncle. His name is George Maluk. He passed away of cancer, and they buried him yesterday And I went to that funeral myself, so I just wanted to just give a moment of silence for him as well. Well, let's take a commercial break, and we'll be back momentarily with Birchall Washington, who's the fire chief for the Clark County Fire Department. This is Steve Sanson. All alone today, folks. All alone today.
While growing up, I've always asked my family, who is my father? I was told the name of a man. When I became older, I looked for this man and found him. He thought that I was his son as well, but after a DNA test, it was discovered that my family was lying to me all my life. I pressured my family to give me the real identity of my father. I then became suspicious and took my grandfather's DNA. After I buried my grandfather, 2 days later I discovered that my grandfather was in fact my biological father. I questioned myself and asked, what is my purpose on this earth? I should have never been conceived. But when I look at my 4 children, I knew that everything happens for a reason. This is Steve Sanson. Find your identity.
Veterans in Politics takes a proactive approach to provide you, the veteran, with the political voice for which you fought and served.
Veterans in Politics is becoming the premier veteran organization of the 21st century, with political candidate interviews, insight, and endorsements.
Public speaking engagements in support of American values.
Radio shows to keep you updated on the latest in veteran and military support operations.
Providing job placement and business support.
Go to veteransinpolitics.com today and do your part in defending liberty.
Well, this is Steve Sanson with Veterans in Politics, and we have live Birchall Washington, who is the fire chief for the Clark County Fire Department. Chief, how you doing today?
Good. Good afternoon, Steve.
Thank you for showing up. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Well, first of all, I just want to say thanks for having me here, really, and thanks for all that you've done for the country and all that you represent and what the people represent here as well. You know, you guys have done a great service for us.
Appreciate that.
As far as me, I was originally born and raised in Los Angeles, California, and my parents moved here when I was in high school. And after graduating high school, attended college at Howard University in Washington, D.C., and returned to Las Vegas, tested for the fire department, and the rest is history.
So what made you want to be a fireman, Chief?
Yeah. That's an interesting question. I can't claim that I was one of those young kids who saw a fire truck and just immediately knew that's what I wanted.
You like the siren
to do. Right.
It was either police officer or firefighter.
Right. But I can't claim that. As I attended college in DC, I was involved in politics, I guess you could say, a bit, living in D.C. and working on the Hill a bit. I majored in political science and just knew that I wanted to help people and be in the community and helping people. And so that's what drove me to the fire service.
Well, tell us about your daily activities being a fire chief. What goes on?
That's interesting too, because I never knew what it would be like being a fire chief until I stepped into that role. My day, for the most part, is meetings to meetings. So I'm either meeting with people to try to make decisions, or I'm meeting with people to find out what decisions need to be made as I represent the fire service and specifically Clark County Fire Department. So that's really it, day in and day out.
How many employees you have?
We have authorized 813 employees. It represents about 630 firefighters. And then we have support staff, but we also have about 225 volunteer firefighters that help us, protect the rural areas.
So when you say that you're the chief of the Clark County Fire Department, you cover the whole Clark County?
Yes, we cover. Well, no, we cover the whole unincorporated parts of Clark County.
And what are those parts?
So those are the parts, generally speaking. If you take Sahara, and we're south of Sahara all the way to the California state line, and then we cover as far east as Laughlin. We go all the way down to Laughlin, and then we come around north to the east of North Las Vegas, like along Lamb, and then due north all the way out past Mesquite.
You also have paramedics. How many of those are they separate from the fire department or no?
No, and that's what's nice about the firefighters is that many of us, including myself, we're also licensed paramedics. So when we go on a call, we can fight the fire or we can perform advanced life support. Or
is your paramedics in competition with AMR? Because I see the American Medical Response, the private ambulance company. Every time I see a Clark County Fire Department paramedics at the scene, I see AMR at the scene. It's like they flip a coin and try to figure out who's going to take the victim.
Yes. No. Right. No. We're actually very fortunate in the Las Vegas Valley where we have a dual response system. A pretty good partnership between public and private in that firefighters and private ambulance companies go on all 911 emergency medical calls. Firefighters typically get there first because we're so well strategically located throughout the community. Right. And so we initiate the care. If need be, we can transport the patient, but typically we wait for the private to arrive and then we ship them off with the private, and then the firefighter is able to go back in a available status.
So what about North Las Vegas? You guys taking over that area?
Well,
because rumors say they might lose their charter and they might not be a city anymore. They might just be part of Clark County. What do you think?
Right. Well, we've been working with various ways to support what North Las Vegas is faced with. Of course, only time will tell. If something like that occurs, then we are the arm of the state, and we'll be prepared to do whatever the state needs us to do.
Have you had any rivals with Metro or with law enforcement? Because I know fire department, they always have these different football games or basketball games or even boxing matches. How do you do it here in Clark County?
It's exactly that. I mean, as soon as you said that, it just made me think back on how long rivalries have existed between fire and, police. There was actually where there would be some pretty competitive knockdown, drag out football games.
Right.
So now too many people got hurt, so we don't have that often. But just a couple months ago, I attended the Police Officer Manor charitable basketball game between police and fire. I think Fire's only won about one game, but we got pretty close in the last one.
So when you guys get to a scene and there's a fire, and apparently they might be some lawbreakers there. Maybe they might be a shoot-in or what have you. Who takes control of that scene? The firefighter because there's a fire going on, or would it be law enforcement because there was a possible shooting or alleged shooting or actual shooting that took place there?
Sure. Well, typically in a shooting, the police department would be the lead. Now there's one thing that we've been doing quite well, and again, we're very fortunate in this valley. We all work very, very well together. We meet often, and so we are quick to establish a unified command.
Okay.
And again, if it's a shooting and there's a active shooter that needs to be secured, then Metro is making a call and we're supporting them. If it happens to be a mass casualty incident as a result maybe of some sort of chemical release or like the bus incident we had the incident that occurred at the bus stop when there was a gentleman or a person who rolled over and wiped out a bunch of people.
You're talking about the one on Spring Mountain
right.
and I think was it Decatur?
Right.
North of Decatur, just east of Decatur.
Yes, just south on the southeast corner. Yes, then that's something that we would be in command of, and Metro would support us.
Okay. Do you guys have any helicopters, air support or anything like that?
No, we don't. Now, we do have agreements with various providers for like wildland fires and things where we can call in air support, but we don't own any.
Okay. How many fire departments are there in that you are in charge of?
Well, that I'm in charge of, it's a total of 42 stations.
Okay.
And again, that's 29 paid and 13 rural stations.
Okay. Any up in Mount Charleston?
Yes. we do have a volunteer station in Mount Charleston, and we also have a contract, and again, that's a partnership with the state, where we contract services out with BLM to provide 24-hour service there.
So what is a firefighter's daily activity? I mean, how long does the firefighter have to actually be at the station?
The firefighter is at the station for 24 hours.
Really?
So, yes.
That long?
Oh, yes.
They sleep there?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. They report to duty about 8 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
And they have their muster, their plan of the day meeting with their captain, and then typically they just take care of whatever duties are required on that particular day until they get a call.
So what happened if you guys don't get a call? What do they do in all that spare time?
Oh, yes.
at taxpayers' dollars.
Absolutely. Well, we are definitely in the risk business. It's almost like an insurance policy, where we have people that are on the ready 24/7
right.
To keep our community thriving. But when they're not at calls for service, and again, this is a balancing act,
right.
because we have certain areas where the call volume is tremendous, and we have others where it's not as much. But during those times, we're constantly doing things like training. The training is a big portion of what we do. We're going in, we're looking at buildings.
Right.
We're doing inspections. There's several things. Classroom training. It's just a lot of different hands-on classroom training. It's probably the bulk of what they do.
Is there a special unit that works the strip? I mean, with those, because I'm sure high-rise condo evacuation and putting out fires is different than going to a regular 2-story house or apartment. Is the training different? Do you have a specialized unit that just handles the tourists?
Right. No, that's an excellent question. No, because the way we're very fluid in our
No,
yeah, we're very fluid in our staffing. So what we have to do is everybody's trained. Everybody's trained to be able to attack a high-rise fire, because again, the high-rise fires that we've had, it takes a good at least 50 firefighters
right.
to handle that. So we're bringing firefighters in from all over the place.
Okay, so what about I heard that you guys had a fire station at City Center. Is that true?
That is true.
Are they trained differently?
They are not trained differently. Again, we're very, very fluid. So if somebody, for example, takes off on vacation leave, then there's somebody else who has to come in and backfill that spot. They may come from, they may normally be assigned at Laughlin or in Jean. So they have to have the same amount of training.
Do you guys have anybody that's expert in bombs or ordnance or explosives or anything like that?
No. I'll just say no. Officially, no. The city of Las Vegas has that. We do have an individual that had been trained to that level, but that program has gone along the wayside.
What about NBC, nuclear, biological, chemical warfare? Anybody trained in toxic materials or anything like that to evacuate or clear the air? Do you guys specialize in anything like that?
Yes. And we have, we do have, again, all of our firefighters are trained at the awareness level.
Right.
We have a specialist, and we had operational level trained people. But again, with some of the budget cuts that we suffered,
Well, all right. To explain that, what have the budget cuts made your department a lot different?
Well, that's
than it was.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest difference. Where through our technical rescue team and our hazmat team, mm-hmm. that was cut in about 2010.
Right.
And,
by how much?
Well, the whole program was gone.
They got rid of the whole program.
Yes. Now it is, we did have a redundant service in the city of Las Vegas. So we established a mutual aid agreement with the city of Las Vegas where they would run the calls. So the Valley still had the service. Now what we recently did is that we returned our technical rescue team in Laughlin, okay. And we're working on ways to bring the teams back here in the Valley.
All right. I'm trying to understand. You said
mm-hmm.
your guys are all trained the same way as high rises or 2-level apartments. Well, what about your guys up in Mount Charleston where it's all, it's all forestry? Is that a different type of training?
Yes.
Okay.
And another good question. Now, again, we have in the urban area at our 29 paid stations, generally speaking, all of them are trained the same way. You know, we do have some specialty training for some disciplines like what you mentioned, the technical rescue. However, in the rural communities, our volunteers, our volunteer firefighters, they are wildland trained. Okay, all of them.
You guys are also training rescue as well, right? Like somebody gets stuck on a red rock or anything like that?
We have some people that hold that training, but again, in the urban area, that is one of the programs that was cut. Oh.
There's a lot of cutting going on in your department. What's going on with that? You mentioned earlier that you guys have no air support, right? Is that correct?
That's correct.
So what happens? What do you do when let's say Mount Charleston catches on fire? Don't you like drop water by air on the fire? Who does that then?
Yes, we have to call through a state or a state contract. So it's a third party private service that would come in and provide that air support.
Wow, interesting. What's the weight of all that equipment you guys carry?
It's been estimated at about 100 pounds. Through technology and improvements, we've gotten that down to about 75 or less.
How many females that work for you?
We have about,
or should I say women? Because if I say females, they think I'm a little sexist. How many women work for the fire department?
I don't have the specific number, but we have about, I think it's about 15% of our staff.
15%
women. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Are you reaching out for more?
Yes, as a matter of fact, we happen to have 2 women that are in our academy that's graduating next Friday.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
So you guys don't have a hiring freeze?
No.
But you got doing a lot of cuts, though.
Yes, yes.
But you're not cutting the employees.
We did have to lay off a few of our fire prevention employees about a year ago. Since then, they were able to get their jobs back through attrition and things like that.
Well, let's go into a little bit of politics, Chief Washington. You guys are in the papers a lot with the county commission about abusing sick pay and stuff like that. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure.
Because I know that some of your guys got your jobs back.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and this happened actually before I came. When I came into the department, it was November of 2010.
Okay.
And the county and the union were in negotiations. Mm-hmm. And as a result of the negotiations, they were talking about sick leave, policy and things. Right. And so some information came up where it appeared that some of the employees may have been abusing their sick leave. So we launched an investigation. The commission, or a couple of the commissioners asked for it, and but we also did it as was the right thing to do. And as a result, there were some people who were disciplined.
Right.
An arbitrator overturned 2 of those disciplinary actions.
Out of how many?
Out of how many firefighters?
Right.
Again, out of about 630, firefighters.
They were all abusing the sick pay?
No.
How many was actually abusing the sick pay, and then how many was actually, you said 2 was reversed.
Right.
But how many was actually abusing the sick pay?
We probably took corrective action against about a dozen of them.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's not many, huh? And how could one abuse a sick pay, though? Walk us through that process. How to be the criminal in abusing the sick pay?
Well, there's probably various.
You know why I bring that up, Chief?
Mm-hmm.
Because some people don't understand how could you abuse sick pay?
Yeah, well, it's just a matter of calling in sick when you're not really sick.
That's it?
Yeah.
Huh. And then, because I remember reading something about when they had to put somebody else to take that other person's hours. It's like if they work a certain amount of hours, it's like double time or something like that. Is that true?
Yes. We'll see if whenever someone takes off. We were in the position where we really had to call someone back to fill in their slot at time and a half.
Okay.
So our over budget was higher whenever people took off sick.
So what's the normal starting pay for a fire person?
I believe it's about $8,000.
Okay. Mm-hmm. That's pretty low though.
Well,
but then I pulled and I saw some of the dollars a lot of the fire guys were making. Some are making 6 figures.
Right.
That's the part I'd want to be.
Yeah.
How could you make the six-figure salary?
Hours, working. Generally, firefighters work 56 hours a week on average. Okay. But the people who are in the sixes are generally working, 96 hours a week. Okay. They're generally working a lot more hours.
Okay. Do you have any dealings with Nellis Air Force Base? Because I'm sure they have their own fire department up there.
Yes, but we have a relationship and we have, some agreements in place where we support each other.
Okay. All right, Chief. Anything else you want to say?
Oh, again, just thank you for having me. It's good that our schedules kind of line up a bit, and right. I just appreciate having the opportunity to be here.
So how could folks get a hold of you or your department?
Sure, it's 455-7311. There's a host of resources that we have in the fire service and different ways that we can help people. And we have open houses every other month. Our next one is going to be in February at Fire Station 23, which is off Lamb and Alexander. And this is the Christmas season, so what could you tell people to be safe?
Oh,
please be safe. Cooking accounts for about 30+% of the fires that occur. So just please watch the stove. Don't drink and cook, and don't drink and cook.
What about the Christmas trees?
Christmas trees, if they're real, please keep them watered, and don't leave the lights on all day and night.
Well, Chief, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
That's Chief Burchell Washington, who's in charge of the Clark County Fire Department. This is Steve Sanson, and we'll be back momentarily with Randy Kerner, who's a Nevada State Assemblyman for District Number 26.
This public service announcement is brought to you by Veterans in Politics International. The Veterans in Politics mission is to teach, educate, organize, and awaken our veterans and their families to select, support, and vote intelligently for a better world, and to protect ourselves from our own governments and a culture of corruption, and to be the political voice for those in other groups that do not have one.
There are too many homeless veterans, and more help is needed from the VA. Every veteran service organization post should adopt a local homeless veteran.
The funding of VA medical centers is inadequate, and building a VA hospital in southern Nevada is moving at a slow pace. The budget has been flatlined for too many years. The VA is too quick to deny claims and too slow to help veterans gather records in support of claims.
Local politicians ignore veterans and their issues. They perceive a lack of organization among their local veterans and that it won't hurt them at election time. Veterans too often vote party, not veteran issues. All veterans should vote in every election.
The news media give inadequate coverage to veteran issues and events. You must send letters to the editor and voice this concern.
Please contact your members of Congress and Senate and urge them to co-sponsor key legislation in supporting our veterans.
Please support Veterans in Politics. And to get more information, go to www.veteransinpolitics.com.
Are you a business owner struggling during these economic times? Please listen up. How would you like to put your business and services in front of every resident and business in the Las Vegas Valley for less than a penny per home? Yes, that's right. I said less than 1 cent per home and business. And how would you like to have a dynamic and exciting online presence with the major search engines? How about an online video for your business and a fully optimized website with absolutely no setup fee? Hi, my name is George. If you are interested in these and other services that can make your phone ring with clients and prospects, then call me at 702-296-8394. Just call George at 702-296-8394. Thank you.
Well, we're back. This is Steve Sanson and Steve Sanson with Veterans in Politics. We have live on the air Randy Kerner, who's the Nevada State Assemblyman for District Number 26. Assemblyman, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, thank you. And how are you?
I'm doing real good. Assemblyman, could you tell us where you're calling out of?
Well, I represent Southern Washoe County, so I'm up here in Reno.
Okay. Could you give us your boundary lines over there?
Sure. I have the Incline Village, and then if you're familiar with the geography, up and over the hill to the Galena Forest area of Arrow Creek, down the valley, across the valley to Double R and DeMonte Ranch, and then up the Hidden Valley.
Oh, very good. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself, Assemblyman?
Well, sure. I'm older. I graduated from a military college and spent 5 years in the service.
What branch?
United States Army.
Oh, one of those. Okay, go ahead, Chief. Go ahead, Assemblyman.
I'm
messing with you. Thank you for your service, sir. Go ahead.
I know you are. you Marine guys. I'm a master paratrooper, a U.S. Army Ranger.
Wow.
I served with the 101st Airborne Division in Vietnam.
Okay. So you're nobody to mess with then?
No, I wouldn't mess with me. I think I'm the only Ranger in the legislative body.
Oh, so you're going to put them in order, have them do push-ups?
There you go.
All right, go ahead.
Then after my service career, I was a little over 5 years. I spent 35 years in industry, and then retired about 6 years ago. I don't really count that anymore. And then I ran for office. I finished my doctorate degree.
Wow.
And then I ran for office in last session and again this session, and so I'm in my second term.
So let me ask you this question, this fundamental question I ask everybody. Well, why do you want to be an assemblyman? Because, you know, the pay is no good. I mean, you get slack from everybody. You damned if you do, you damned if you don't. I mean, why do you want to go through all that crapola?
Well, you know, I guess there's the altruistic viewpoint that you want to do something for our folks here, and I certainly have that. You know, I started my career serving, and I believe in the philosophy of serving, and here I am now towards the end of my career, and I want to give back. I've had a good career, and I think the people in Nevada need somebody that comes in with a business perspective, okay. And so I thought I should run.
In the last session you served, have you sponsored or co-sponsored any bill? Did you get what you wanted out of that last session?
Well, the last session, of course, I was a rookie.
Right.
And
yeah, but your
Army is very difficult to get some bills passed. However,
Assemblyman, you're Army Ranger. Come on.
I know. I got 3 bills passed.
Oh, okay. What bills were they?
Well, the most important bill, I think, was the bill that I co-sponsored with Marilyn Kirkpatrick, reached across the aisle. And what this bill did is it provided an incentive for manufacturing businesses who are moving to Nevada to occupy an existing building and upgrade it to meet LEED standards, which is environmental standards. Okay. And if they did that, they would get a pass on 25% of their tax, up to 35% of their tax, depending on what level that they upgraded the building to. The value of this has been really substantial. We've seen about 50 companies take advantage of it. We've seen almost 1,500 jobs added to Nevada, good-paying jobs. And, of course, there's construction jobs while they're refurbishing the building. And altogether, it's probably close to $100 million of economic impact to Nevada. So I feel really proud about that bill.
So what bills do you have moving forward in the next session?
Well, you guys are partly responsible for one of the bills. When I was interviewing with you all before you endorsed me, one of the gentlemen asked me about driver's licenses. And sure enough, that sparked some attention, and Senator Brower and I myself are co-sponsoring a bill to put, as you're familiar with the driver's license, if you want to donate organs, you put a little heart on there.
Right.
Well, we're going to put that little V next to it. And the reason we want to do that is because most veterans do not carry our DD-214 around, and there are many opportunities, everything from a discount in the stores to meals to whatever else, and if they can identify themselves as a veteran, they can take advantage of it. And we thought this was a really simple thing to do, and so we put that bill in. I do have another bill for veterans, which is, you're familiar with the disabled veterans license plates. And a number of our veterans have traveled to California and other states, but mostly California, and they've got slammed with parking tickets when they park in the disabled parking area.
Right.
So we want to adjust that license plate to have the universal wheelchair thing and a veteran symbol underneath it. Again, it's a modest change, but it affects a lot of our disabled veterans.
That is an excellent idea. I'm surprised they haven't done that earlier.
Me too, but they haven't. So we're going to take care of that.
So do you believe that that you're going to have the amount of votes needed to get that passed in the Assembly?
I think so. I think we can. Again, we don't have a ton of veterans, but we have a lot of people that appreciate the kind of work we did when we served, and certainly going to be working the halls to get those bills passed.
So let me ask you something, Assemblyman. Do you think that would help when officers approach a vehicle and they realize that this is a veteran? If there was any kind of hostile situation, they'll know how to lot better.
I don't know. Well, I'm not so sure because obviously they've got to get to the license, the individual license, to see that a person is a veteran. So I don't know that will change it. I think we have obligations as veterans to obey the law and so forth and so on. And if you're a certain kind of veteran that's having difficulties and so forth, maybe having that plate will help.
Yeah. And I encourage all the veterans to go get one of those plates, just in case, because you never know, because people act differently when they get pulled over. And I know a lot of vets don't like to be pulled over for some reason, especially the ones that are coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan.
Hey, man. I hear you.
I know I don't like to be pulled over at all. I might get a little hostile sometimes. I might need you to come bail me out, Assemblyman.
Well, I tell you what, I've had the opportunity to be pulled over before, and my license plate thing says it has the United States Army Veteran Ranger on there. And the officer asked me if I was a veteran. I told him I was, etc. And he said, "Well, slow it down, sir." So who knows? Maybe we'll get a break or two.
Yeah, probably. You know what? You heard what happened in Newton, Connecticut, right?
Yeah, and very sad.
Very sad, very tragic, and especially when these things happen to our young children, and now people are trying to get on the bandwagon saying that we need more gun laws, but this individual broke several gun laws to get where to do what he did.
Yeah.
Do you think that we need more gun laws? What's your viewpoints on this?
Well, it's certainly a difficult question, and it's filled with a lot of emotion right now. I can tell you that Connecticut probably has the most stringent gun control laws in the nation, and look what happened.
Yes.
So I don't think it's the guns that violate the law. I think it's the people. And so I'm not in favor of seeing more restrictive gun laws.
I think we need to have more mental illness therapy or more mental illness counseling. I think that's what we need.
Well, if we can afford that, we sure need it. I know the veterans hospitals are doing a lot, and I appreciate that. But this guy was not a veteran, and I don't know.
He was barely 20.
I know. It just breaks my heart.
You know what I think it is, Assemblyman? I think it's those video games, those new ones that show blood and guts. I think it's those.
Could be. Could very well be. There's so much violence on TV and so much violence in these video games, and people get shot and they live, right?
Yeah.
Well, we know that isn't the real world.
That's true. And you know something, when people talk about all these gun laws, and because Nevada is an open carry state, and you have to go through a stringent background check to have a concealed weapons permit.
Yes.
But you know what upsets me, Assemblyman, is when you walk into a building, before you walk into a building, some of these buildings have no weapons allowed in this building, okay?
Yeah.
And what does that do? If you're a law-abiding citizen and you have your CCW, you're going to turn around and you're going to put your weapon away, put it in the car or what have you, and you're going to walk in that building because you're going to respect that sign, right?
Yes.
But if you're a criminal and you're carrying a weapon illegally in the first place, you think you're going to respect that sign and go put the gun in your car when you're already carrying a weapon illegally?
Well, that's conjecture for sure, but, we know that we got some kooks out there, don't we?
Absolutely. And you know what? All that sign just did is to tell that criminal who's carrying a weapon illegally that nobody in that building is armed. That's all they did. So everybody is...
I don't know about the schools, and I certainly don't know about the situation in Connecticut. But at the legislature, our state, our Capitol Police are armed.
Right.
And I think although I'm not certain because I don't have a concealed weapon permit, but I think.
Wow, really? An Army Ranger don't have a concealed weapons permit?
I don't need a weapon.
Oh, you're a weapon. Oh, I forgot. Sorry.
Oh my gosh.
You know something, Assemblyman, former state senator Bob Beers, who's now the city councilman for Las Vegas.
Yeah.
He put a bill in when he was sitting up at the legislature to have teachers carry weapons. But he was doing it for higher education, colleges and university. Do you think that's something that we'd want to take another look at? And do you believe that if there was a teacher in that school, and that was allowed to carry a weapon, the situation might be a lot different?
I don't know. Again, I wasn't there, so I don't really know all the ins and outs of it. But I do know that campus carry bill is coming forward. Assemblywoman Michelle Fiore is going to bring that bill forward.
You know something? I'm trying to get into this guy's head. I'm sure that he knew that going to that school that nobody had a weapon on them. Same thing probably in the one that went to that temple, and the same thing in Virginia Tech. They know that nobody has a weapon on them.
Yes, that's probably true.
You know, I mean, look at the guy that went to the mall. He was all ducked out in armor outfit and
protective,
protective. And the guy that went to the movie theater, he also wore protective armor outfit. So those two individuals are saying to themselves, "Hey, somebody might have a weapon in this place." But those other ones, the Virginia Tech one, the temple, and the recent one in Connecticut, these guys wasn't decked out in armor fatigue because they knew nobody on that property had a weapon, and everybody there was a sit-in duck. So maybe they do need to take another look at teachers or superintendents arming themselves so people won't walk into a facility that they know no one is carrying.
Well, we're going to bring that bill forward, so it'll be interesting to see how that one goes, especially in view of all these recent attacks. It just kills me. It really does.
You think this guy will walk into a police station and do the same thing? No.
I don't think so.
Because he knows he's going to get shot back. You know, somebody's going to shoot back at him.
They're prepared for it, aren't they?
Exactly. So let me ask you something, Assemblyman. So what do you want to do with this session besides getting that bill passed for the driver's license for vets?
Well, I have a number of bills that I've proposed, BDRs. Probably the most critical one of those is reform of our public employees retirement system.
Okay.
Since just 2 years ago, when we last convened, the unfunded liability has grown $1 billion. That's a lot of zeros. And you've got, for me, it's a sense of equity because you've got 1.5 million Social Security payers, people who have jobs that are paying Social Security, and then you've got about 80,000 people in PERS who don't pay anything because their city council or their city or county, whatever, pays 100%. And that's not right. That's like the 99 supporting the 1%. So we need to refresh our public employee retirement system.
Okay. You know something? I'm sure you're familiar with a lot of the police shootings, especially here in Clark County. Are you familiar with them?
Not really.
Okay, you know that the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police rank third in police shootings, right below New York and L.A. is one of the statistics that came out. Well, I was told that there was a law in the book saying that an officer could shoot a fleeing felon or could shoot unarmed folks. Are you familiar with anything like that?
No, I'm really not.
And if you were, would you be in considering of changing that law if there was such a law in the books?
Well, I don't know enough about that situation. I'll be perfectly honest with you. And I guess it would be the kind of thing that would certainly warrant, some attention and dialogue around it. But I honestly don't know, I guess there's been some incidences in Clark County.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and being up here in Reno, we're very blessed. We haven't had those kind of situations, but if a Clark County representative came forward with a bill, I'd sure like to listen to it.
You did have one, I believe his name is Darren Mack, if my memory served me correctly. He's the one individual that shot and killed his wife.
And a judge?
Yeah, and he tried to snipe the judge, but he shot the judge, but he didn't kill the judge.
No.
Yeah, so you had a situation like that. We had a situation yesterday at the Excalibur. An individual walked into the hotel registration, pumped 5 shots into a young lady, and took his own life. Did you hear about that?
No.
Yeah, it was in broad daylight, and it was in front of everybody. 8:30 in the afternoon this happened. They don't know if he knew her or not, but if you're going to put 5 bullets inside somebody in broad daylight and then take your life right after that, you got to know that. You got to know that person.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You don't just walk in and randomly pick somebody.
Yeah, especially when you shoot him 5 times. Or her 5 times.
He had a grievance there, I think.
Oh, yeah. So how are you planning to improve our economy here in the state of Nevada?
Well, I'm working on another bill with, again, Marilyn Kirkpatrick on this thing. And
you and Marilyn is just like peaches and herb, huh?
Well, not really. She's still on the other side of the aisle, but you know what? I'm very optimistic about our next session, Marilyn, as Speaker. I think she'll give a fair shot to bills that might be brought up by Republicans.
Right.
I'm a Republican, and I know her to be a sound thinker. So I'm very optimistic that we might be able to come away with some balanced session here.
What kind of Republican are you? Because I've heard so many.
I'm a good Republican. What do you mean, what kind of Republican am I?
Well,
I voted for Ronald Reagan.
You got the conservative Republican, you got the Ronald Reagan Republican, you got the Ron Paul Tea Party Republican.
I don't know that I would call myself a Ron Pauler for sure.
You got a moderate Republican.
I would say moderate to conservative Republican. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, since you're a moderate to conservative Republican, how do you feel about making marijuana legal in this state to help with the economy and probably cure some of these ailments we got out there like PTSD?
I don't think making marijuana legal would be good for our state. I think it's a gateway drug, and I would not want to follow the path of Colorado, new meaning to Colorado High.
Right.
And Washington.
Well, they said alcohol is a gateway drug as well, because alcohol has all these chemicals that they put in there, and people drink and drive, get into bar fights and all that stuff. And they say marijuana is natural; it grows from the ground. How would you compare it with alcohol?
Well, I tell you what, I think it's worse than alcohol, but because I think the residual for marijuana sticks in the system for a long time.
Well, let me ask you something. How many bar fights you ever, or how many fights you ever heard of 2 people smoking marijuana, and how many fights you ever heard of 2 people drinking a bottle of rum?
Well, the bottle of rum probably gets a lot more bar fights.
You see what I'm saying? When you smoke alcohol, I was told that everybody wants to eat pizza and some tacos, and they just want to hug and love each other.
I don't know, man. Would you want to put one of those behind the wheel?
I wouldn't put an alcoholic behind the wheel either.
Well, I mean, I've had a beer before and then went home, or a glass of wine or whatever. If you drink in moderation, it's not going to be bad. But there's no such thing as marijuana in moderation, is there?
No, unless you put certain restrictions on it. Say you can't be behind the wheel, and the state controls the dispensary. And I think it would help. I think you'll get away. You cut all these drug dealers out the way. Crime will be reduced. Prison systems will be freed up. State revenue would increase. And you put all these restrictions on it, just like you do with a gun. Put all these restrictions on it, and I think it'll help flourish the community.
Yeah, you haven't pulled me over just yet on that one.
and I, you know what it is. I think the casinos will be up in arms, and all the bars will be up in arms, because a lot of people will not drink alcohol anymore. They'll move away from alcohol and just smoke weed, and the bars will probably lose a lot of their revenue.
Well, I don't know. I just am not comfortable with moving in that direction at all.
Well, how about gay marriages? Are you comfortable with that?
Well, it's a social issue, right? And, personally, I'm not comfortable with it. Just based on my background and upbringing and so forth and so on. But I think...
So basically it's a religious belief then?
Yeah, I think the world's changing, and I don't know. I'm not comfortable with it personally. I know that we'll probably end up going there at some point in our future, but I'm not going to rush it along.
And you see a lot of the states are moving in that direction as far as gay marriage is concerned.
Yeah.
And you know something, people...
Interesting to see the Supreme Court and how they handle this. They sure didn't handle Obamacare very well, so who knows?
Well, you never know what they might do because...
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't even flip a coin on that one, if you ask me. But
I understand.
But let me ask you something about I know in our Constitution they don't allow the lottery here, and I know California just got the Powerball, which is great. Now everybody don't have to rush to Arizona to buy their Powerball ticket. How do you and you know what, they're having this internet poker, so I don't know why we can't change the Constitution to have a state lottery here.
Well, that's been a topic that's come up before, and I know that there's a lot of pushback, and guess where it's coming from? The casino industry. So I've talked to some people about that, and there's some pros and cons. And I don't know if it'll come up in our session or not, but it's worth talking about, I think.
Well, we all got to look at creative ways to bring revenue in this state, and my two ways are the lottery and the marijuana.
I'm going to pass on your marijuana, and I'll talk about lottery.
Come on, Assemblyman, come on, surprise people, huh? So all right.
I told you I was a conservative, right?
All right. I'm a lame citizen here, and those are my two ways to improve the economy. Let me ask you yours, since you.
I tell you what. Did you ever go to Nam or any place like that?
No. Come on. I'm not that old to be in Nam. I was a Gulf War veteran. Okay,
so you don't know what it's like to be sitting on a perimeter out in the jungle somewhere, and all of a sudden somebody lights up a marijuana.
Oh, come on! So I still wouldn't want nobody to throw no rum and coke in a glass, and they got a machine gun behind me either. You know what I mean? I mean, there's a time and place for everything, and I don't think being in the combat field, lighting up a joint or breaking out a rum and coke would be the time and place.
Or sitting in a foxhole and somebody all of a sudden turns on a radio, Armed Forces radio or something like that. You try to be, sneaky Pete out there, quiet.
Absolutely. Assemblyman, it was great talking with you. Tell us how the constituents could get a hold of you if they need to.
Sure. Of course, we're in session, and so they can obviously call the state capitol. They can look on the Nevada Legislature webpage and, get my phone number there. But my office phone number here up in Reno is 852. It's 775 area code, 852-3857, or they can email me at randy.kerner@gmail.com.
Well, Assemblyman Kerner, thank you so much for being on the show.
You betcha.
That's Randy Kerner, Nevada State Assemblyman for District 26. This is Steve Sanson with Veterans in Politics. Until next week.
Views and opinions expressed on this program were those of the hosts and guests and did not necessarily reflect those of Vegas All Net Radio, its affiliates, or its parent company.